So I wanted to hop on here on the front end and kind of give you a heads up about some of the things we'll talk about today. First off, I just finished a race yesterday. It was a 50K race, so I'll give you a little bit of highlights of that. Towards the end of the video, we'll talk about what's beyond a marathon, specifically ultra marathons, and then what are some expectations or some things you may not be aware of if you're not familiar with that side of the running world. So we'll cover a little bit about that, and then we'll cap off the video. So hope you guys enjoy.
Died today. What ideas? What dreams? What abilities? What talents? What gifts will die with you? I don't know what that dream is that you have. I don't care how far-fetched it might appear to be. I don't care how disappointing it might have been as you've been working toward that dream. But here's what I know. That dream that you're holding in your mind, that it's possible. In the process of working on your dreams, you are going to incur a lot of disappointment, a lot of failure, a lot of pain, a lot of setbacks, a lot of defeats. But in the process of doing that, you will discover some things about yourself that you don't know right now. What you will realize is that you have greatness within you. What you'll realize is that you're more powerful than you can ever begin to imagine.
What's up, guys? So, currently running a 50K, and I'm currently in third place. So I'm super proud about that. And should be done by noon today. And I'm so ready to shower, get food, relax. It's been a tough race, super fast. My legs are cramping up, but high spirits. Checking in, guys. So I made it. I'm about 0.12 miles away from the finish line. Sorry, I almost tripped over a rock, but excuse my language. But this was a extremely rough trail. Rocks, boulders all over the place from start to finish. That was the most annoying part of the race. But I think I came in third. We'll see.
The heart wants what it wants. You got me scattered in pieces, shining like stars and screaming, lighting me up like Venus. And you disappear and make me wait, and every second's like torture. Heroin and no more soul, finding a way to let go. Oh no, I can't escape. The bed's getting cold and you're not here. The future that we hold is so unclear. But I'm not alive until you call, and don't bet the odds against it all. Save your advice, 'cause I won't hear. You might be right, but I don't care. There's a million reasons why I should give you up, but the heart wants what it wants. The heart wants what it wants.
Hey guys, so I wanted to hop on here and kind of show you some of the terrain and routes that you kind of experience while running longer distances. This is Bishop, California. This was maybe 4 months ago or 5 months ago, I can't remember. But this is my first 100K in California that I completed. From the satellite imagery, you can kind of ascertain kind of the rough terrain that you're running through. A lot of hills, a lot of rocks. The temperature at this time was pretty cold. Later on in the day, it rained, and then it also snowed. So it was an interesting experience for sure. As you can see, you can kind of make out some of the aid stations that were out there in some of the major turning points or checkpoints where basically, at the end of the day, you really need to study the map the terrain, and then to ensure that you don't get lost and you actually complete the race how you're supposed to. There's a lot of people that oftentimes DNF or get lost or DNS depending on their situation, and some people do get lost. But this is just an example of how terrain can dictate how you train and how you adapt, depending on where you live and what your goals are. So yeah, this is just a quick snapshot for you guys to kind of gauge some of the things I go through and experience. The next race that you see here, this was Tusher's. This is one of the harder ones, actually. This is up in Utah. This was back in July. I think we stayed between 10,000 and 12,000 feet of elevation through the entirety of the course. So all of this was through mountains, going up and down mountains, going through valleys, a lot of switchbacks. I think there was one point where we descended to the lowest elevation, but then there's a few switchback sections that you can tell from here where we were going uphill pretty drastically. That one right there was one of the longest runs uphill that I've had in a while. It's pretty rough on the legs, and then eventually coming back to the start point, and then finishing off the race. Pretty rough terrain out there. And then this is just another view of the race, a little bit closer view. As you can see the terrain, how the elevation and just how that changes throughout the course. As you can see, there's snow. There was at the time there wasn't a lot of snow up there. It was pretty much melted, but it was still semi-chilly, but not really. It rained a lot throughout later in the day. So this little lower section here was like what I felt took me forever, just going up all the way to the top of the mountain from the base, from the valley was a little rough on my legs there. I think that was around mile 45 or 48, I can't remember. Hey, what's up guys? So the next thing I want to talk about is loops, specifically throughout the course or race that you'll have. You'll encounter cutoff times to each of the 8 stations. So just keep that in mind as you're running at a certain pace. You have to make the cutoff times, or else you'll get disqualified from the race. So just another thing to think about. Another thing we'll get into here in a bit is this was a race I did in North Carolina. It's a Pilot Mountain to Hanging Rock. Different terrain, obviously, and environment, and a lot of the only reason I'm showing you this here is just so you can kind of gauge very generally some of the things that you have to think about: course marking, and then generally elevation throughout the entirety of the course, and then any areas that you may have some issues as the further you get into the race, and then properly planning and supporting yourself, preparing yourself to go into the pain cave.